There's something fascinating about us humans. We persist in making ourselves clear to folks who simply aren't wired to get it, not out of spite, but because it's beyond their grasp. They're tuned into an entirely separate narrative. Meanwhile, you're out there in the lobby, attempting to outline your storyline to someone utterly fixated on theirs. It's draining, right? This endless drive to defend, to elucidate, to bridge the gap. Imagine if I pointed out that pouring effort into clarifying things for some individuals is akin to painting shades of red for those stubbornly viewing the world in grayscale. Society drills into us that dialogue solves every puzzle, that with the ideal phrasing or spot-on rationale, enlightenment is inevitable. Yet reality packs a more intriguing punch. Certain minds are so entangled in their personal frameworks, so mesmerized by their skewed take on existence, that your message dissolves into mere static. The more you push to connect, the faster your vitality ebbs away. Picture yelling against a gale-force blast. The echo fades without ever landing. So, here's a question for you. How much time have you squandered persuading those predetermined to remain unmoved? How often have you restated, reworded, worn yourself thin? All chasing that elusive moment when it finally clicks for them. And the outcome? They distort your intent. They filter it through their biases. They cast you as the antagonist in their tale. Regardless of your meticulous wording, this isn't random mishap. It's not a breakdown in exchange. It's a clash of profoundly divergent mindsets. Before diving deeper, allow me to specify, this isn't about constructive debate or those earnestly seeking your perspective yet holding contrasting views. No, this concerns a different beast altogether. It's about individuals ensnared in a hypnotic bubble, a fortress of convictions and delusions so impenetrable that your insights bounce right off. And why? They're not pursuing accuracy. They're fixated on validation, on safeguarding their fabricated world, no matter how detached it is from the facts on the ground. Once that dawns on you, the dynamic shifts entirely. You cease internalizing it as a personal flaw. You quit doubting your delivery. You grasp that the issue never lay in your articulation. It's that you're addressing someone who's prejudged your essence, your motives, your whole presence. No torrent of words will alter that script. It's reminiscent of debating logic within a reverie. The vision ignores reason and clings to its bizarre logic. Allow me to describe the fallout when you attempt to unpack yourself for someone mired in delusion. To start, you squander your essence. Not a trivial drain, but a profound spiritual fatigue born from waging an unwinnable war. You invest deeply in pursuit of comprehension, only to receive bewilderment, blame, endless probes in return. It's an infinite cycle, fueled not by their curiosity, but by their self-serving plot. And you? You're merely a scripted figure in their drama, one they've long since authored. Time-honored philosophical paths recognized this dynamic. They accepted that truth isn't accessible to all, nor can everyone bear its weight. For some, those veils of fantasy are survival gear. Strip them away, and the structure collapses. Thus, they guard those fictions fiercely, by mangling your statements, undermining your integrity. And if you keep engaging in defense, you're unwittingly bolstering their mirage. Each interaction hands them fresh ammunition to fortify their stance, a prompt to entrench further. I recall a tale about a fellow who devoted his days to proving to his stubborn neighbor that the heavens were azure. The neighbor swore they appeared verdant, so he hauled in charts, snapshots, expert breakdowns, even rallied witnesses to affirm the obvious blue. Yet the neighbor stood firm. Verdant, he maintained. Verdant. Eventually, worn out and resigned, the man threw in the towel. He quit the campaign entirely, dropping the topic cold, and curiously, the neighbor erupted in rage. Devoid of the friction of the feud, he confronted a chilling void, the chance he could be mistaken. That's the ripple when you halt the defenses against those illusion-bound souls. They lash out, they intensify, they charge you with neglect, detachment, indifference. But here's the key insight. Their frustration isn't directed at you, it's rooted in their own issues. It's triggered by how your quietness compels them to confront their true selves, and facing the reality after years of delusion is among the toughest challenges anyone can face. That's why they prefer you to continue chatting, justifying, and fulfilling your role in their chaos. As long as you're involved, they avoid any need for self-improvement. But you no longer have to join that cycle. You can pull away. You can stay silent. You can allow them to cling to their distorted view of things without the urge to set it straight. This isn't apathy. It's insight. It's realizing that certain conflicts aren't worth your effort. Now, the real shift happens when you quit justifying your actions. A change occurs. You start safeguarding your vitality. You start guarding what's truly valuable. Your tranquility, your sharpness of mind, your inner identity. These are invaluable assets, and when you pour them into dialogues with folks who aren't equipped to value them, you're squandering gold. You're offering gems to those who won't cherish them, as the old proverb warns, not because they're inherently flawed, but because they're unprepared. They're unable to recognize the worth of your insights, so they disregard them. They ridicule them. They weaponize them against you. Reflect on your recent exchanges, the ones that drained your spirit, left you feeling dismissed, or sparked irritation. Consider, was the other party truly absorbing your words, or just biding time for their rebuttal? Were they seeking to grasp your viewpoint, or merely shielding their position? If it's the second option, you were pouring effort into someone deaf to your voice. And that lost vitality? It's gone for good. Certain individuals feed off this pattern. They relish dragging you into prolonged defenses because it hands them leverage. The further you elaborate, the more material they gather. They'll seize your statements, warp them, and hurl them back in distorted forms you never meant. They'll claim, "But you admitted that," when you did no such thing. They'll view your quiet as admission of fault, your forbearance as frailty, your compassion as deceit, and regardless of your clarity or approach, they'll devise reasons to misinterpret, because true comprehension would demand their transformation, and transformation is frightening. So how do you respond? You halt, you cease justifying, you abandon the quest to force their clarity, because deep down they perceive it already. They simply reject the image, and that's their burden, not yours. You've been shouldering the weight of their distorted lens, treating their confusion as your shortcoming. But it isn't. Their confusion is their decision. Let me share what unfolds when you welcome quietude. To begin with, you regain your strength. By withholding justifications, you retain your command. You avoid surrendering your legitimacy. You move beyond seeking their endorsement, affirmation, or insight. You simply exist. And there's immense strength in that, a force born of no longer needing to justify your being. The might of one whose value isn't reliant on others' recognition. Next, you foster room. Room for honesty to surface naturally, room for them to grapple with their ideas absent your ongoing commentary, room for a higher force, be it divine, cosmic, or that profound wisdom, to operate. When you're constantly speaking and clarifying, you crowd everything out. But in stillness, another presence can step in, and frequently that presence accomplishes more than any words you might utter. Finally, you sharpen your judgment. You start distinguishing those sincerely eager to connect with you from those hooked on the turmoil. The ones who matter will honor your quiet with respect. They'll grant you breathing room. They'll believe in your motives. Yet those ensnared in fantasy will fret. They'll insist on answers. They'll label you elusive, aloof, or harsh. And through their responses, they'll confirm precisely why pausing your explanations was the smart move. Let's clarify what quietude isn't. It's not evasion, not dodging tough talks or shirking needed exchanges. Quietude is selective awareness. It's gauging when speech aids and when it harms. It's acknowledging that some aren't primed for your honesty, and that's fine. You don't require universal readiness, just the savvy to withhold your treasures from the unappreciative. Quietude isn't retaliation either, not a tactic to hurt or shame. It's merely a limit, a declaration of, I'm opting out of this endless routine. For the routine of constant defense is depleting. It diminishes you. It traps you in limbo. It traps both sides in a loop, since the other person avoids confronting their own delusions as long as you're there to debate. The real issue with delusions is this: they're cozy and routine. Folks craft whole personalities based on them. They erect complex psychological scaffolds to hold them up. Then, when you show up with your honesty, your insight, your fresh viewpoint, you're challenging the whole foundation. You're urging them to dismantle years of careful construction. And honestly, most won't. They'll guard their delusion fiercely. They'll clash with you, fault you, demonize you, whatever it takes to preserve their bubble. And guess what? That's their prerogative. They get to dwell in any version of reality they prefer. But you've got rights too. You deserve to quit draining yourself in futile attempts to shift their views. You deserve to exit dead-end discussions. You deserve to safeguard your vitality, your calm, your mental health. And you claim that by choosing quiet, by embracing the strong choice of disengaging. There's this classic proverb that captures it. Don't debate an idiot. Bystanders might not spot who's who, but I'd push it more. Don't bother justifying yourself to anyone who's already boxed you in, because no amount of words will sway their verdict. They've formed their conclusion, they've scripted their narrative, and you're just burning energy on revisions that won't stick. Better yet, reserve your voice for listeners who truly absorb it. Reserve your effort for connections that truly sustain you. Reserve your honesty for those craving it. Out there, you'll find folks who get you sans endless breakdowns. Folks who perceive you sharply without needing you to audition, demonstrate, or rationalize, and that's the crowd worth investing in. As for the rest, those mired in delusions who keep pulling for your focus, your clarifications, your rebuttals, release them, not in bitterness or grudge, but with kindness. Allow them their delusion. Let them cling to whatever tales they require, and believe that if awakening is their path, it'll happen. But not from your persuasion, from life's own lessons, and life makes a superior guide than you ever could. So, here's my suggestion. When next someone presses for your rationale, someone who's preset your identity, your intent, your actions, halt, inhale, and reflect. Will this clarification truly aid? Or will it just supply more fodder for their distortions? If it's the second, hold your tongue. Let them stew in their presumptions. Let them complete the gaps any way they like, since their take reveals volumes about their inner world, far more than yours. And in that quiet, something remarkable emerges. You emerge. Not the self that contorts to gain comprehension, not the self that wears out chasing universal approval, but the authentic you. The you that thrives independent of others' grasp. The you that requires no endorsement, grounded in its own certainty. And that self packs more strength than any defense you might offer. Cease justifying to those ensnared in delusions, not from surrender or indifference, but from grasping that some aren't prepared to perceive. And that's fine. Grant them their sightlessness. Grant them their muddle. Grant them their take on you. For the genuine you, the aware one, the perceptive one, the one that just exists, craves none of their nod. Your tranquility outweighs their insight. Your vigor outshines their endorsement. Your reality trumps their take. Keep that in mind. Cling to it, and when that old impulse hits to clarify, to shield, to validate, just pause, settle, hush, liberate. For quiet, dear one, isn't a void in dialogue. It's wisdom's full expression, and wisdom discerns precisely when to voice and when to merely allow matters to unfold.